Entonces, ok, vamos a ver lo que tienen hasta ahora y a lo mejor hay mucho por hacer, ¿no? Que 10 minutos no es mucho para desarrollar una rúbrica, ¿no? Les quería comentar rápidamente sobre el syllabus y los puntos. Una de las razones por las cuales diseñamos los puntos de esta forma, las evaluaciones también, era para darles a los estudiantes que tenían intereses en otros lugares, ¿no? Por ejemplo, a lo mejor tenemos estudiantes que son buenos para hacer los exámenes. Si ellos quieren, pueden sacar una buena cantidad de puntos aquí, pero pueden ver que solo tienen que ganar 240 puntos. Ahora, si yo soy un estudiante que le gusta más prestar servicio y practicar así con la comunidad, yo puedo hacer muchas más actividades aquí, ganar muchos puntos aquí, y al final no tengo que tomar el examen final. Si tengo muchos puntos de actividades culturales o si he participado mucho en el rincón de conversación. Así que también les deja a los estudiantes con diferentes estilos de aprendizaje a trabajar en su área fuerte y no el área que pensamos que debe ser el área fuerte. Ok, ¿quién va a comenzar? ¿Voluntarios? No sé si vamos a poder terminar. Ok, say they.
Quiero empezar así no
Las comparaciones.
Develop insight into the nature of language and culture, and we came up with an activity en español o
No importa, en inglés o español. Está bien.
okay.
Spanglish.
Standard comparison standard 4.2. We came up with an activity to work on this. Students demonstrate an understanding of the concept of culture through comparisons of culture studied and their own. And Christina mentioned, immediately we thought of, let's compare the way El Día de los Muertos works and Halloween works. And it's not just, okay, what are the differences between Halloween and El Día de los Muertos, which is maybe 30, 40 years ago, was just fine. What Standard 4.2 is trying to get us to think is trying to get our students to demonstrate an understanding of the concept of culture.
Okay.
And so one way we thought of how can we get them to do that was simply asking the question, why, given what you know, is it an impossibility for Americans to celebrate El Día de los Muertos, and why would Mexicans not celebrate Halloween? And that would basically get at the meta. Are they getting it? Okay. And of course, the scaffolding would be, we talked about that triangle in the standards document between the relationship between cultural perspectives, cultural products, and cultural practices. So kind of, but you know, one activity is not going to make it sink, but at least we're working towards it.
And so because I did that last year with my students, and so what I did was I had them read documents ahead of time online. One was about how Halloween, the history of Halloween, so they understood that. Then we did the history of Dia de los Muertos, they understood that. Then in class, each class had a different assignment. One made the flowers that were supposed to decorate the altar. One class made the sugar skeletons. Another class made papel picado to hang up. And then the fourth class did decorations with the skulls, like a paper one. So then we watched a video, a 15-minute video, so that they could actually see what it looked like, saw visuals, saw pictures of it. And then as like a culminating activity, they had to write a composition comparing and contrasting.
Great.
And when I think about like like we were talking about evaluating next year, I think I had them do a Venn diagram, but I think next year what I'll do is actually make a chart of products, practices, and perspectives, meaning here you need to describe what are the products from each culture, how is it done, what do they do, so like, oh, flowers are the product, the practice is you lay the flowers around the altar. What's the perspective? The flowers attract the spirit back to the altar, and then they all of a sudden get it. I had 15-year-olds understand. Not all understood it, but I had some amazing compositions from 15-year-olds that got it. They go,
Okay.
oh my God, I understand what you're talking about. And
Excellent.
it was really, really good, So that's how you can do it.
Right. One of the great things about comparisons is that we can compare similarities and differences. So that's great. Did you have
What's the rubric?
I gave them a rubric, so when I
was the rubric on the composition or was
the
it?
rubric was on the composition, so actually as part of the composition, other than being well organized, understand, I actually put a part of culture saying, student demonstrate a clear understanding of the similarities and differences. Now the ones that did that were the ones that could explain products, practices, and perspectives. The ones that started to falter were the ones that mentioned most of what we talked about but forgot a few things.
Well, you don't need a rubric to assess.
No, I mean, but like that's,
But the student might need a rubric.
well, but that's what I'm saying. I gave.
That's